This is the Blind Judge Podcast. I am aforesaid blind judge, Kentucky's first, only, and now retired blind judge. I'm David Holton, and yes, I'm no longer on the bench, but I'm busy practicing law. And you can locate my office at davidholtonlaw.com. We're in the studio today with a friend, a neighbor, and a gentleman whose work I appreciate very much. Shirley's Way is a nonprofit organization that was founded in 2013, and the founder and now president and CEO is my guest in the studio today, Mike Mulrooney. Welcome to the Blind Judge Podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's great to be here.
Well, I want you to tell our audience about how Shirley's Way was founded and about the mission and the work you're doing now.
Right. We, when my mom was sick with liver cancer in 2013, a lot of people towards the end came by to visit, as they do, and she was pretty much out of it at that point. But the conversation usually always turned to people that had cancer that had struggled financially. And I heard that story over and over and over. It'd be Uncle Joe had cancer and lost his home, or Aunt Sally, had cancer and all her utilities were turned off. And I thought, it just doesn't sound right in today's world. We live in the richest country in the world, and we have people who are sick that can't afford basic necessities of life. And so I promised my mom right before she died that we would try and figure something out. I didn't really know what that looked like, but we jumped in feet first. I filled out what I thought was nonprofit paperwork with the state of Kentucky, and at the company I was working for at the time, I said, I'm a new nonprofit. We're going to help people who are sick with cancer. And she said, great. Are you a 501c3? I said, I don't know what that is. I had no idea what a 501c3 was. She goes, well, go get your 501c3 and we'll figure it out. So my cousin was actually at a PRP baseball game and talking about it. And I think it was Caroline Miller's husband, the Oilers.
Mike.
Yeah, overheard Leanne talking about it. And I just met him not too long ago at a baseball game. But yeah, he got the paperwork started, and his, paralegal did it all and got it all started and helped us get it going. Because I didn't know what I was going to do. I think the IRS paperwork was like 90 pages long, and it was a couple $1,000s to get started. It was a crazy process.
Yeah, some lawyers specialize in nonprofit practice of law. In fact, Mike, you're speaking of, has been a guest on this podcast with Coach Brad Burns.
Really? Yeah, that's where I met him.
Here.
Yeah, we had as we expanded, and we'll talk about that later, we do a lot for local kids programs, and we gave quite a bit of money to PRP Baseball to buy them some new digital batting equipment and things like that, and they had to split it with the softball team, but Mike Orlier was there, and it was a small world.
So you were talking about the paperwork. She says, let's make sure we're legal. We don't want we don't want anybody calling the authorities. So we got all legal and everything.
Yep.
And
yeah, it took quite a while, and then while we were waiting on the paperwork, they told us it would be retroactive if they approved it. They didn't see a reason why they didn't approve it. So we went on ahead and did a couple events. The first event we did was a red carpet cancer survivors walk. We did it at a local school church where my kids went to school, and we had cancer survivors come out. We had a band play, and cancer survivors come out. We, celebrated them. They danced through the red carpet. I'm a big Kiss fan, so I had smoking machines and all kinds of stuff as people were dancing down the red carpet.
Did you rock and roll all night and party every day?
We actually did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still are with Shirley's Way.
A lot of Uber drivers were taken that night. But we had a lot of fun. And right after that, a lot of us were pretty active in walking and running. So one of our first things we did was to print off a bunch of we did bright orange, which is weird because I'm a UK fan. But we printed bright orange, Tennessee orange shirts. And we did it because you could see bright orange from a long way away. So a bunch of us were out there doing the runs, and we could see who was supporting us by the bright orange shirts that said "Cancer Sucks" on.
That's great. Yeah. I didn't realize that was originated by you, but there's been a lot of those bumper stickers and shirts with what a great slogan. Just simple as hell.
Yeah.
Cancer sucks. It says it all.
Yeah, oddly enough, I don't own cancersucks.com. There's an organization in Oklahoma that does, and as we were selling these shirts, about 5 or 6 years into it, we got a cease and desist letter.
Yeah, I bet you did.
And I was kind of nervous, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know any attorneys at the time. I couldn't afford an attorney at the time, to be honest. And I called the guy, and I said, look, I appreciate it. I understand you own that. We talked for probably 45 minutes. He said, you know what? Just tear up the letter. You're good. Just try not to sell as many online. Just sell them locally, and we won't worry about it. And we had a great conversation, and it's been good ever since. Actually, we probably helped him a lot because everybody was buying our shirts. I'm sure they went to cancersucks.com and bought stuff as there as well. So it's weird how things work out if you can sit down and have a conversation.
I got you.
Yeah.
So we got the first couple of events, and you were helping out mom and dad down the street, and you decided maybe go a step bigger?
Yeah, we did. We were doing some events, and I've got an IT background, so I always wondered why nobody ever did like split the pot raffles and stuff online. So we built a website around doing split the pot raffles and started asking around, and I found out the reason why nobody had done it is because doing online raffles was completely illegal at the time. So
need another lawyer now, don't we?
Yeah, that's right. So we made a connection with the Kentucky Gaming Commission, and I went out there and presented my idea, and they kind of looked at me a little funny because they said nobody had ever done that before. So they gave me some things. Basically, they said what I'm doing is not legal, but if I come back with these things they gave me, that they would work with me. So we went back, adjusted everything. I got another appointment, went back, and they're all sitting there staring at me like, what are you doing here? And I said, you told me if I do these things, you would talk. And one of them finally said, we didn't think you'd come back. So
that's funny.
Yeah, we walked through that, and we built the first Split the Pot raffle website in the state of Kentucky, as far as I know, probably around the country, actually. And after we did this, we saw like the Cowboy Stadium and stuff for doing split the pot raffles at halftime of football games and raising $90,000 to $100,000 for their charities. And that was kind of my vision. And I didn't know somebody else was already doing it in these stadiums. But anyway, our goal was to try and do that. But they let a Canadian company come in here and do that stuff. And they're doing them at the Yum Center and things like that. But yeah, that was kind of what we were trying to do, is get involved in raffles. So we did that for a little while, and then we did this big raffle called Queen of Hearts that got up to about $800,000.
Right, in a restaurant on Dixie Highway.
Yeah, we sold tons of tickets, packed the place, probably 2,000 people in the area.
Yeah, I've been
every
there
Monday
before.
night. Yeah,
I was there for a couple of times.
Yeah.
I did not get the Queen of Hearts, by the way.
Well, oddly enough, the person that won, you had to be there to win 50% of the pot. If you weren't, you won 40%. So that's why there were so many people there all the time.
I remember.
It got to where people were getting there at noon and staying all day, and the raffle was at 8:30. So the restaurant made really good money there. We did well. And you know, the crazy thing is the lady that won it, she broke down crying on us the day we issued her the check, and we couldn't figure out why, because it didn't seem like happy tears. And she said that one of her in-laws had just recently died, and the other one was going to lose the house. And this money was going to save the house because the other in-law had died from cancer. So it's weird. We impacted a cancer patient not knowing that we were impacting them on the money that they won. But they won, I think, after taxes, about $250,000.
All right, good job.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And so you've grown from that. You now have some retail opportunities also for people who might want to support you by buying merchandise.
Yeah, we got heavily involved in raffles. Then we got involved in these charitable gaming machines, and we can talk about those in a minute. But people kept coming to us and say, look, I want to give you the stuff I have in my closet. I don't want to keep giving it to these other thrift stores around town. And they kept saying, I want to do this, I want to do this. And we didn't really have anything to do with it for a while. And we kept talking about it. Thought, you know, if the right opportunity comes, maybe we'll open a thrift store. So the space right next to our office, next to that restaurant, became available. And we thought, you know what, let's give it a try. So we remodeled it, and we call them Shirley's Deals. Everybody gets a great deal at Shirley's Deals. And so now we got 7 locations, Shirley's Deals, around Louisville, that people donate the items, and we turn around and resell them for profit for our mission.
I've heard you advertise on the radio before.
Yeah, we ran a lot of commercials for a while. We paid a guy for a catchy tune. I told somebody, I said, I want to have a commercial similar to the Hammer, Daryl Isaacs, or the car guy, Tony Melito. I said, I want people to remember my commercial like they remember those two. And like them or not, great marketing because I'm sure anybody in Louisville don't know those two names as far as because of the
Yeah.
commercials. So I said, that's the kind of
Deal it
commercial
for
we-
other people.
Yeah, that's right. So this company came up with a tune. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. We got what you're looking for. So I was someplace the other day, and a friend of mine's little girl, she's 3. She's running around house singing 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought, well, I think we hit our mark if a 3-year-old has heard it, and
That's
she's
right.
running around the house singing it.
So we opened the stores, and now we got merchandise in 6 or 7 locations here in town.
Yeah, we do. We got 7 locations, and items are donated every day. We've got items that would fill probably 100,000 square foot warehouse if we could find one that people would let us use, and it's stocked to the ceiling, and it's great. We do a lot of sales, lots of great deals,
Yeah.
And it's been a great thing.
The majority of your funds that you raise that are available for charitable purposes come through your gaming, correct?
Yes, gaming and now the deal stores.
well,
The
let's
deal
talk
stores aren't doing as much as the gaming, but our primary income stream to support our mission is all through charitable gaming machines.
Yeah, let's talk about the charitable gaming machines and where they are. And I know there's maybe a speed bump that was put in front of you recently that we may need some help from the public to speak to the authorities, their legislators, and so forth to try to get reversed.
Yeah, last year, a couple years ago, we started getting involved in these charitable gaming machines. They're electronic pull tabs. So I tell everybody, if you grew up Catholic, you knew what a paper pull tab was before you were in kindergarten. Basically, these games are a digital form of that. They have great graphics and sound and things like that. It might be a game similar to what you might see in a casino, something like that. I mean, they're very nice games. And they've been great. They've generated a ton of money for us, not only us, but several other organizations across the country. And it's a great income stream. The money is being used for good. We have people all the time say, at least when I lose, I know where the money's going.
Right.
And we hear that all the time. But we could get them in our office several years ago. We applied for the license and got them, but there was a way that we figured out to put games in other locations, bars, restaurants, places like that. So we filled out the paperwork for facilities license and it was approved, and we just kind of looked at each other and thought, all right, let's try it again. We found another location. It was approved. Next thing you know, we got games in 40 locations around Louisville, all the way from the south end to the west end, to Portland, to St. Matthews, Middletown, LaGrange. We got 40 locations with games, and it's bringing in quite a bit of money for us, to the point where the first year, like I said, we raised about $6,000 and gave away $1,000. Because of charitable gaming last year, we gave almost $5 million away.
$5 million.
And this year we're close to $6 million. So that's the impact of charitable gaming the last couple of years. Since Mom died, we've given away about $13 million. And out of that, the past 2 years have been the bulk of it, about $11 million over the past 2 years. And it's all because of charitable gaming.
Well, man, I want to say hats off to you, man.
Thank you.
Kudos.
Thank you.
And again, the money is going right into the community here to help people with obviously your cancer patients and cancer survivors and the families of those who are lost to cancer, but also now you have enough money raised where you can help other causes too that don't just focus on cancer, right?
Yeah, one of the promises I made obviously was cancer to my mom, but one other thing, that she loved kids, and I'd always wanted to do something for kids. And so I was one of those kids that couldn't play football as a kid. I thought, it was just because my mom didn't want me to get hurt, but come to find out, they didn't have the money for the equipment for me to play. And Western High School, my 8th grade year, found out I wanted to play, and that coach donated the football equipment for me to play Little League football my 8th grade year. And I never forgot that. So I had always wanted to do something like that. So now, not only do we help people who are sick with cancer, but we might pay Little League fees for a family that can't afford it. We can buy the equipment. We've bought tennis shoes. We've bought helmets for Panther Youth Football. Shoulder pads. T-shirts, jerseys. So we support little leagues and kids a lot. And but oddly enough, I got a call from a friend of mine that said, hey, now keep in mind my 8th grade year, Western High School donated equipment. a couple months ago, I got a phone call from a friend that said, hey, Western High School is trying to rebuild their program and they need some new equipment. Is there any way? And I thought, you know what? What are the odds of the stars aligning? Western helped me in my 8th grade year. Now they're in need. So we were able to help them get some brand new helmets, because in football now, the helmets are only certified for so many years and you have to replace them, which, a lot of these helmets are $300 and $400 a piece. That's a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's crazy how things go full circle, but we were able to help Western's football team get some of the new equipment that they needed. So it felt really good to be able to help them, since they helped me when I was in 8th grade.
Well, that is
Crazy story, isn't it?
yeah, it's good irony, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was a Panther. I went to PRP, but I was definitely going to help Western, especially. But we help all the schools now. We've done a lot for Butler, for Valley, for Fairdale, Ballard. We do a lot.
Mm-hmm. So you have met some challenges with your charitable gaming.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that there was a time earlier in the fall here that you actually got a order saying you're shut down, your charitable gaming. Not just you, but everybody across the Commonwealth was shut down for a period.
Yeah, there was a theft ring running around the state, and it was called Fishing These Games. They had a laminated $100 bill with some tape tied to it, and they were sliding it into the bill acceptors and getting it to register as $100, and they kept doing it over and over and over and over, registering credits on the game. They never played, they just registered credits, and then when they got whatever I guess they wanted, they would hit the cash out button and go to our kiosk and cash out on those fake bills. And about 4 locations across the state got hit, and since then the gaming manufacturer has fixed the bill acceptors. They've repaired them. But the state took it upon themselves a couple weeks ago, Friday at 5 o'clock, to just issue an edict that say all Grover games across the state of Kentucky had to be turned off immediately.
And Grover was the brand of the machines that were being cheated.
Fished. Yeah. They're one of the manufacturers in the state. So it shut all games down on Friday at 5. And we had talked about doing this before, several charities, but it forced our hands. So we immediately had a phone call at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning, about 10 charities. We pulled together a quick meeting and formed an alliance, and we're creating a group called the Charitable Gaming Alliance of Kentucky, and it's basically a union of charities in the state to help with regulation changes and things like that. So we pulled together, and we collectively filed a suit the next day and got an injunction hearing to turn the games on until we can have a day in court. So we're actually up running again. It took us a few days.
So somehow 4 machines or 4 locations that were being, as you use the term, fished.
Yes.
In other words, someone was in there illegally gaining access and then benefiting. Somehow someone going in with this illegal conduct led to the charitable gaming all across Kentucky being shut down.
Yeah,
there's really not a direct connection between those things.
Well, each location, when you have gaming, is supposed to have a chairperson. So instead of blaming the criminal and the crook that stole the money, there's videos and pictures, but the police haven't done anything to apprehend these people.
You're kidding me.
No, they haven't done a thing. So, but instead of holding the criminal accountable, they're saying the charities are responsible because we weren't watching the games close enough. So they thought to protect all gaming and protect the citizens, they should shut them all down. But that's just kind of crazy. That's, you buy some bad Tylenol at Meijer. Do you take every piece of Tylenol unless you realize there's something wrong in every bottle? But do you take everything off the shelf, or do you figure out where the problem lies and fix the problem? But they just immediately pulled the rug out from every one of us. And when they did that, they made a couple reg changes that were technically illegal to do without legislative approval. So they were trying to not only shut us down, but force some reg changes that could put us out of business for good.
This really boggles my mind.
Yeah.
Mike, as a former prosecuting attorney for 19 years.
Figured you'd enjoy that.
Former judge for 10 years and now practicing law again for 8 since I retired from the bench. The whole concept of shutting down the entire business, the entire state charitable gaming because someone had criminally accessed these machines and blaming you for not watching it close enough. Not you necessarily, but whoever the charity was. I mean, that's like saying if my house gets broken into, it's my fault because I didn't lock the damn door.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's exactly
And
right.
saying you can't go home again until you, we just can't go home indefinitely. Well, that's an idiotic thing, but you did get some judicial relief, correct?
Yeah.
Judge Annie O'Connell?
She did. We submitted it at noon, and she signed it that afternoon. Didn't even question it, from what I understand. Just signed it. So once she signed it, we got an immediate letter from the Gaming Commission of Kentucky, the Horse Racing Corporation, and we rushed to get all games turned back on across the state. Again, it wasn't just Shirley's Way. It was all games across the state that had Grover games were shut off. So that was fun to try and get everything activated again and back up and running. So.
Well, I'm not surprised that Judge O'Connell made that ruling. She's a very good judge.
I've heard, yeah.
And we're fortunate in Jefferson County to have her on the bench in circuit court.
Well, we were extremely thankful for her that night. So
it still gets back to the whole concept, though, of how someone doing this misdeed and well, the only organization that was negatively impacted when they accessed this money from your machines, was it actually the charity who owned that? How much money were you all out? Do you know?
We got hit for about $7,000.
Yeah.
But if you look at the impact, I think the impact total theft was about $40,000, and I say about. That's nothing compared to the loss of gaming revenue by turning off all those games. It was a drop in the bucket for the lost revenue of these charities across the state. So we're talking VFW Post, American Legions, all these places.
And you haven't found anybody to prosecute your case yet?
No.
Do you have videotape of the people who did these things?
We don't, but one of the charities does, of the video and pictures. Actually, to the point where one of their people was chasing one of the people they thought did it, and they were told to stand down.
Do you know whether they've approached the police or the sheriff in that jurisdiction, or approached the county attorney about?
I was told that the officers haven't done anything about it yet. So I don't know how much truth there is to that. So I know police reports were filed, but yeah, I was told that the officers haven't done anything about it. So.
But you are up by rolling again now with your
with
your machines.
Yes.
And we've got a hearing coming up.
Yep, January 26th and 27th. So I don't know what that means for a 2-day hearing. You could probably educate me on that later, but we were told to book those 2 days from 1 till the end of the day.
Well, let's talk about, was it earlier this year in the 25 session that there was some anti-charitable gaming legislation being considered?
Yes, they were looking, I don't know who's trying to do it, but they were trying to end charitable gaming because they were saying that a handful of us commercialized charitable gaming and it was never intended, but we did everything legally. We can't just go get games and turn them on. You have to have a license, and we have 40 licenses that prove we were legal doing what we were doing. And but yeah, they ended all new licensing as of July 1 of this year, 2025, effective July 1. So nobody can get any licensing for that type of gaming. And it stopped it completely. So we couldn't take, I get restaurants and bars call me every day wanting games, because these games are a win-win for everybody. I mean, you could argue gambling, blah, 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 but people are going to gamble, they're going to drink, they're going to smoke. So
you're telling me that they allowed you to keep the ones you already had, but no more?
Yes. They grandfathered us in. Everybody that had multiple licenses like we did, there's several charities across the state, they grandfathered them in, locked them in, at least temporarily. We figured they were going to try and come at us somehow, even though they said we were grandfathered in. We figured they were going to try and do something to shut us down. We just didn't know what. So this whole fishing thing kind of gave them an opportunity, they thought, to shut it all down. But luckily the courts ruled in our favor. But yeah, no more licensing as of July 1 of this year can be had for the charitable.
Was that an act of the legislature?
Yes. They voted. I was there that day they voted it. Speaker Osborne and Damon Thayer both presented their case about moving everything under the Horse Racing Corporation except for the lottery. And, all the legislators, several legislators said, I don't know that I agree with this. I haven't fully read the bill, but I'm going to vote for it anyway, but I'm not sure I agree with it. I'm like, you just voted for something. You have no idea what you voted for. But several of them openly said that they were going to do that even though they hadn't read it.
That is the nature of our legislative process anymore with the leadership, whether it be the federal or state legislatures, whether it be the Democrats or the Republicans, they choose their leaders, and if you don't fall in line behind them, you get scolded and kicked out of the club,
Well, a couple of them told us that if they vote against the speaker, that anything they try to bring to the floor will never get presented. So it's kind of a weird, unfair thing. I don't even know. I didn't know you could do this. We kept watching to see if anything was going to change. Well, 7:30 the night before is when this happened. Apparently there's a shell bill. I don't know what a shell bill is, but apparently there's these shell bills already approved with titles on them that they can pull out of a file cabinet and apply it to any category. So there was a shell bill already out there. They took a shell bill out at about 7:30 the night before and put all these changes in it and presented them the next day and voted on it. Nobody even saw this coming. It was a shell bill that started all this. I got a call at 9 o'clock that night from a legislator friend of mine, said, you need to be in Frankfurt tomorrow to see what's going on. They're getting ready to shut some of this stuff down. And he wasn't wrong. But it all started 7:30 the night before from a shell bill.
Right. That's, I'm just thinking constitutionally about how that could be permitted, or how that is constitutional to shut some down. I mean, at this point, no one else is allowed to try to do the activity you're doing, and that seems rather to me to be a matter of equal protection.
Yeah.
Under the 14th Amendment.
Yeah. Somebody had mentioned something about, more along the lines of a monopoly. Monopoly is being created by allowing certain groups to do gaming and not others.
Well, that's something we ought to talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
Some other time.
Yeah, legally, because we were completely shocked that happened. I never heard of a shell bill before.
You got to find a better constitutional lawyer than me, Mike. I tell you. Okay.
Well, we'll search for one. We have some good attorneys now that really feel like what happened a couple weeks ago was completely illegal because they made reg changes without legislative approval. So
what can the people who support your charitable gaming and the great benefit that comes to our community, what can they do to help you try to get some positive movement in the legislature regarding your craft here?
Yeah, I've met more legislators than I ever thought I'd meet, politicians. I've been to dinners and meetings and events to try and shake hands and meet people. But if you know a legislator personally, we're looking for everybody to call their legislator and say, basically, leave charitable gaming alone. Let the charities continue to operate the way they are and not shut them down, because we're having a huge impact in the community. I know what Shirley's Way is doing, and there's so many other good ones in this state and this city that are doing a lot of good stuff with the income stream from gaming. And if that goes away, a lot of them will close their doors. Actually, a lot of the local businesses that we're at with our games already told me if we have to pull the games and we can't pay them the rent for that floor space that we're renting from them, that they would have to close their doors.
So would you want your supporters not only to say leave them alone, but let it get back to where it can expand?
Yes. There's a lot of charities that want to do this, but they don't have the option anymore. And we've talked to a couple on how to do this, how to get the games, how it works, but they can't get a license right now. And $5,000 to $10,000 will change the trajectory of a charity instantly. Charitable gaming can provide that.
Who decides who can issue the license? Or this can't happen at all because of state law?
It can't happen at all right now. You can get there's two different gaming licenses you can get. An office license. So if you have space in your current office, you can get an office license and get up to 35 games. But like an office in here, there's no foot traffic in here. So it has to be someplace at a bar or restaurant to have foot traffic. So you can get a license for your office, I believe now. But the way we did it with facilities licenses, where you can operate games at a place that's not your office, that's no longer allowed right now. They stopped it all. I'd heard that it was a temporary stoppage until April of 2026, until I guess the legislature comes back in session and they can either vote to keep it the way it is or lift the stoppage. But I don't know. I don't know enough about the legal system.
Do you have someone working to try to get this reversed in the legislature that will be they'll be gathering in Frankfurt the 1st of January.
Yeah, I couldn't remember when the session started,
Yeah,
but yes, we're getting in front of as many legislators as we can. This new organization that has been formed, this new Charitable Gaming Alliance, is a C6, which allows you to hire a lobbyist. So we're looking at bringing a lobbyist on board to represent all the charitable organizations in the state of Kentucky to get to keep gaming going, the charitable gaming.
And whether you condone gambling or not, I mean, hell, this is the #1 horse racing state in America, and we all know what's going on at Churchill Downs and what's going on at Keeneland and at Ellis Park and Kentucky Downs and all these different places. How much and now you've got the online gambling with DraftKings and FanDuel.
Twin Spires, yeah.
Yeah, and to say all of a sudden that these charitable, the other ones we just talked about, are for profit.
Yeah.
And you're a nonprofit,
Yeah.
you're charitable,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, it seemed like to me maybe perhaps some people with some influence have been pulling some strings, Mr. Mulrooney.
I can't prove it, but it sounds like to me, it sounds awful fishy as well. But
Would it be maybe the same people pulling strings who just got Churchill Downs another 30-year exemption
on their taxes?
from taxes?
It's very possible. I don't know.
Hey,
That's the question. Nobody knows where this is coming from.
Do you smell that? I think something's burning.
Smell any horse manure?
Yeah.
I don't know who's behind it. Really, I had my theories, but that's what we're trying to figure out. Who has the edict to shut all this down? Who's doing it? And nobody really seems to know. We have our suspicions, but we're going to figure it out.
Well, it would seem to me, just as analyzing your situation, and I'm not a gambler, although I do like to bet on the horses.
Yeah.
And I did play your Queen of Hearts game a few times.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that the people who are probably trying to do this are people who want the gambling dollars to go to them and not to the non-profit charitable gaming.
I'm sure there's some profit issues going on there amongst people. But you can look at it. We went from giving away we've given away, like I told you earlier, about $13 million since Mom died in 2013. The last 2 years have been the bulk of that $13 million. Almost $11 million. The last 2 years have been given away through Shirley's Way alone. And we're talking, we're helping people with rent, mortgage, food, utilities who are fighting cancer to the tune of about $250,000 to $280,000 a month. You can't raise that kind of money doing 100 events a year. You can't get people to volunteer to go to events much anymore because COVID scared everybody away. People are still scared to go out in public. So getting volunteers to help at events, getting people to show up at events, is just not something you can get to do anymore. So gaming really helps fix that. We're feeding about 3,500 kids every week, which is about $100,000 to $120,000 a month. You can't raise that kind of money to keep that impact.
Tell our viewers here about that effort. But you give every Friday, deliver food.
Yep, we the
kind of from the Blessings in a Backpack.
They're a great organization. Blessings in a Backpack. I would never trash another org. They're great, but they lost some funding and they had to cut 16 schools. So we could have worked with them, but we had a connection to food delivery through Cisco Foods and GFS, and we reached out to them, and we're drop shipping food every Wednesday to about 24 different schools right now. And the kids take it home on the weekends. There's kids that have no food at home. And that's what we're providing. So we're providing enough food that they get to take home on a Friday to give them something to eat over the weekend. There's kids that don't even have adults at home to provide food for them. So it's easy, open containers of food that at least it's substance they can have in their systems until they get back to school on Monday. There's kids that have no food at home. So
that's great work.
But yeah, we're at about 3,500 kids right now.
Tell me, who makes the decisions about how this money is dispersed?
It's primarily me and our executive team. Our board of directors, we've updated all the paperwork to give us the ability to do what we're doing. So that's all legal. And our board of directors trusts our decisions. If we have anything huge, I'll go to them and talk to them about it to get approval. But yeah, they were all for the feeding of the kids and continue to what we're doing. Like I said, the bulk still goes to people who are sick with cancer, but it's people who are sick with cancer, local kids programs, and whatever's left, we try to find other organizations that are truly boots on the ground. And we're not talking about organizations that print out paperwork and flyers and awareness. That's good. There's enough of that. And but we try to impact people. You know, our slogan is people helping people, and we truly believe in that. And that's what we're doing.
It seems to me what you're doing is God's work, Mike.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, I had an executive one time that was researching us, and he looked me in the eye and he goes, you know, I've heard about you all, and I've been researching. He goes, I just figured something was wrong. He said, but I can't find anything you all are doing wrong. I said, well, I appreciate you saying that. And he said, I tried to explain what you are doing to our CEO, and they just couldn't understand a company that raises money and gives it away. And I'm like, well, that's what we do. And we don't make widgets. We don't make cars. We raise money and help people in the community with it. And I think most organizations start out with some of that in mind, and they kind of steer the wrong direction, but that's still our mission. The horrible stories of people that call in that need treatments, but they have to have $2,000 for a copay, or they need surgery to remove the cancer, but they have to come up with $900 before the surgeon will touch them. To me, that kind of sounds unethical. You know, as in the medical field, you would think people would have to treat people, but legally they don't have to. And I get it; they want to be paid. I totally understand both sides of it. But when you got somebody that's about to die from cancer and somebody can save them, and $900 is in the way, to me that's a problem.
People come in to see me and ask me a question about is something legal.
Yeah.
I say it might be legal, but it's not moral.
It's not moral. It's not ethical. I say that all the time. So
no.
Yeah.
So what percentage of your income is spent administratively? Do you know that?
We're under 20%. At one time it was about 18%. Yeah. We have quite a few staff now, especially with these deal stores. We went from all volunteers to 40 gaming locations, 7 stores, and about 160 people on payroll.
Okay,
so we've grown.
80% of all your income is spent for your
our mission.
Charitable missions.
Yeah.
So let's say there's someone out there right now that says, man, this sounds like my uncle or my aunt or my next door neighbor, somebody who might need this help that Mr. Mulrooney is describing for us. Mm-hmm. How would that person get in touch with you and say, hey, do you think there's somebody you could help?
Yeah, they can go to our website and contact us. It'll go to info@shirleysway.com, and they can send in a request. We had all the forms online. It's just a couple simple forms, but we had some people and we caught them trying to do some stuff fraudulently, filling out paperwork and lying. So once we contact you, the paperwork we have actually has to come from the hospital to make sure it's truly legit and that you aren't making stuff up. So, and all the hospitals and doctor's offices around town, oncologists know about us. So Mary in our office, she's our patient advocate, and she has a relationship with all the patient advocates at the hospitals, and she stays in contact with them all the time. She's busy all the time. I mean, we write thousands of checks every month for people, and we don't just hand people the money, we pay it directly. So if somebody needs their mortgage paid for $1,200, I don't write David Holton check for $1,200. We write it to the mortgage company. So we know that it's paid. Sick or not, people sometimes make the wrong decision, and I'm sick, but I'd like to go to Florida, so I'm going to use this money to go to Florida just to pay my mortgage payment. So that.
Well, what can we close with here in terms of your message to anybody who's watching this, listening today, about what they can do to help Shirley's Way move forward.
Yeah, now with these deal stores, we have multiple options. Used to, we were begging people for $10 monthly donations. Just sign up to be a monthly donor at shirleysway.org. You know, money's tight for people, but they can always clean out their closets. So that's another option. I tell people to clean out their closets, their basements, and their neighbor's basements, so that way they can bring their donations to us, and we'll sell the money. And so instead of a $10 monthly donation, we might make a couple $100 off the stuff you drop off for us. So they can do that, or call your legislator and help us protect charitable gaming in the state of Kentucky.
And bring back what has been lost, the opportunities that have been lost.
Yeah.
Well, I never knew your mother, sir, but I'm going to tell you, I'm sure she's proud of you.
Yeah.
I want to tell you that. And I'm thankful for what you do, and I'm thankful for your organization, and I'm proud of you, Mike.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Yeah.
One South Ender to another.
That's right.
A couple of Valley Station boys, PRP boys, and
that's right. Yeah.
We got to be proud of our folks in the Southwest who are doing special things, and you're one of them.
Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, I wake up every day. I know most corporations, they're looking at their bottom line. The only bottom line I care about is how much money we give away, and it's a blast. You know, anymore for us to write a check for $10,000, it doesn't sound much, but to put a smile and a tear in somebody's eye because they needed something so bad is pretty incredible. Especially, I like to do things from the back. You know, I don't really see a lot of the people we help anymore, but to see somebody from a distance that gets that and they break down and you realize you've really impacted them because of the way they're acting is priceless to me. I love to see that. So.
Well, let's go. Let's get in the legislature in January and February and make some positive changes. And it's a complicated process up there in Frankfort.
It is. I don't understand it. I've really tried to wrap my arms around it, and I was even asked to run for a David seat for the Senate, and I turned it down because I just feel like I can have a larger impact. Plus, I don't understand politics enough to get involved. But what I'm finding is a lot of people that run, I don't think they understand it either. They're going up there to try and see if they can make a difference, but I think
a lot of times it turns into buffoonery, man. Buffoonery.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that out loud because I'm friends with a lot of them, and a lot of them have helped me, but sometimes I question why they get involved. Some people, you know, they running for the status, or what are they running for? But I felt like I could be more impactful doing what I'm doing versus sitting in David's seat. And David's a phenomenal person, David Yates. He's a good friend of mine, but big shoes to fill for whoever takes that spot, but it just wasn't my time yet. So.
I want you to know that your mother's proud of you, and that Southwest Jefferson County is proud of you, and this whole community is thankful for you.
Thank you.
And let your fellow cause mates in terms of all across Kentucky know that at least I'll be speaking to my legislators about trying to make sure that something good happens for the purpose.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the time today.
Right.
I enjoyed speaking to you all.
Before we end, if you could leave the next guest with a question to answer at the end of the podcast, what would that question be?
For the next guest coming on?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it could be anything. Any question you want to ask.
Ask of me?
The next guest we have on.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who that would be.
Let's say it's Santa Claus. Who would you want to be? What would you want to ask Santa Claus?
Any question that...
If Santa was on here, I'd like to know if he ever went and got those misfit toys off the island.
Oh, man.
I love that movie, and I sit there in tears every time Santa pulls up and those misfit toys don't think they're getting off the island.
But they did.
He came and got them. I just want to know if they really did. Did he really come get them?
Well, no, the movie shows it did, right?
Yeah.
We're Alive said so.
I hope they found a home for every one of them. That's right.
If you could ask any question, though, for the next guest. Any question.
What is your favorite steakhouse in the city of Louisville? How about that? We just went to a nice one the other night. So
Which one?
Steak and Bourbon downtown. It was awesome. It was good.
I've not been to that one.
It's good.
We go to Morton's quite often. And,
We're big fans of Morton's, yeah.
Yeah.
Steak and Bourbon, and we're actually, my family, we're going to go to Repeal. I've heard Repeal is phenomenal. We've always wanted to try that, but we'll see.
I was at Jeff Ruby's about a month ago, and we go to Ruth Chris a couple of times a year, but Morton's, we're there more than any other one in town.
We like the Morton's atmosphere. It's nice and quaint, and we used to go there a lot when BF used to give gift cards all the time. We'd always have gift cards to go there, so We usually go to a nice steak place maybe twice a year, but yeah, we're looking forward to that. But yeah, I love a good steakhouse.
Thank you for being here for this episode of the Blind Judge podcast. Hope you'll share with your friends this episode and others.